So how you feeling today?
I'm alright. I'm a good day, nice sun. I'm good. We here?
Word.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
I was really excited to speak to you about this today.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be a great discussion.
It is, and we don't really have a lot of discussions like this.
Not like
You know what I mean?
this.
Not like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, what I appreciate about it is us holding and saying, nah, we're not gonna have the pre-discussion and then come back and start then like acting. Like we doing it for the first time for the show.
Yeah, I love to hear your thoughts on things in real time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So this is good. I pre-rehearsed nothing.
Word.
Yeah.
So I'm Mahogany, I'm H, and this is Culture Currency, where culture is the value.
Yes.
So, what is your thoughts on this idea of conspiracy against Black culture with a gauge?
I never noticed, or I don't know if it's I just don't believe or didn't notice the whole Black gay agenda. But what I did notice is that we see more transsexuals and more homosexuals on television, at least I thought. And then when I did my research, it was showing that since the damn, how you gonna be gay and don't remember this? Oh boy, after the Stonewall riots in 1960, I mean it's before, but everybody knows about Stonewall. But after the Stonewall riots, that's when you started seeing more gay males on TV, right? And Stonewall riots is when they burned down the bar and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of gay people were. I'm not sure if they were kids. You got to look that up to make sure. Listen, it was 1969. I was born in '81, so all right. But there are more gay white males on TV, is what they're saying, and white lesbians. But that's also just because how media is. Like, if something is a lot of Black people, then it's a Black show. If it's white people, then it's a white show. These days, I feel like the what we're seeing, like, you know, gay relationships or relationships with transsexuals is more explicit, and it's not more like implied. But think this person is maybe gay on television, whatever, but you're not really sure. Or the guy is feminine, but it's like we're actually seeing sex scenes and we're seeing stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is something new. But in terms of gays on TV, it's been a trend depending on what's going on. So it's making me feel like not necessarily just an agenda, but a trend, a cultural thing, whatever's happening at the times, and that's what we're seeing on television.
Okay. I have a similar but different understanding of it. First, let me say, I don't think there's a gay agenda. Okay, let me say that.
Whoa!
Right? Media is showing at the time, right? So because we are seeing more outwardly gay relationships, it's going to show in television shows because we do exist.
Right.
However, I do think there's an agenda.
Okay.
Just not that agenda.
Okay, so tell me.
So my thought process, when I look at it, I see how people come to the conclusion of this gay agenda. Because you get startled by anything that is not comfortable. Right. So the more that you're seeing, if you're straight and you're not necessarily comfortable with seeing gay interactions or should I say intimacy, it's going to be much more shocking to your system than somebody who that's a norm for. We see straight intimacy on television all the time, right?
Sometimes that even makes me uncomfortable.
Because the agenda is perverted.
Exactly. Yeah. There we
so
go.
There
we go.
People
and you surprised me with that. Yeah.
People are focusing on the gay aspect of it because that's what's making them uncomfortable.
Right.
But they're not noticing that we're just seeing over-sexualizing of everything on television.
Right.
So it's more of an agenda to push perversion than anything else.
And I also think to desensitize.
Absolutely.
And desensitize. Because even on the radio, like some of the words that we hear, I can't listen to the radio and drive with my child home. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so explicit. So the censorship is gone. So I think it's really perversion. Like, that's the agenda. That's the agenda.
But do you think the Black community is more feels like it's a target and more up in arms about it because there's a very high level of homophobia in our community?
Absolutely. Definitely biases. and definitely just straight up homophobia throughout our community. It's like part of our culture, you know, and everybody subscribes to it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying 100% because it's never 100%, but when I say everybody,
Yeah, you don't ever have to say, clear that. I understand you clearing it up for
the audience, for the viewers,
but you never have to say that to me. We full understanding that there's no such thing as all, never,
all that
things.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that no one is bothered by the fact that the over-sexualizing is happening on television until it becomes a gay couple?
Right, I think that, because it's just like, oh, close your eyes, you know, cover your eyes like we've always done. Because, like you said, because of the homophobia, you know what I mean? And the thing and the notion that people feel like you can make someone gay. So it's like by doing that, you're introducing them to something. So you're making them curious and they want to do this thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what it's all about. The people feel like the science of that, of introducing something in your home and the high level of hatred for it. So it's like, what? I tell you, put this on TV, and I wasn't even, I didn't even, expect this, and I'm sitting here watching this show with my kids. You know what I'm saying? But all that other sex and all of this other that it wasn't a problem.
The crazy thing is, growing up, I remember when they first started, and the scenes were nothing like the way the scenes are now. The intimate scenes were just more suggested, and I remember having moments sitting next to my mother in the living room and feeling super uncomfortable.
Right. Still
like,
now.
Oh man, like I don't want to. Yeah, as an adult too. Like you, like hold on. This is not what I'm supposed to partake in with my mother.
Exactly.
Right. So there's always been an understanding of a time and a place.
Right.
I just don't understand how it only becomes a time and a place when it's a gay interaction.
Right. So you're saying that so the issue is not just the fact of promoting perversion, but you're saying why are people so impacted, not just because of what's happening and the desensitizing and the perversion, but the fact that it's gay couples. Got it. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're focusing on the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And every episode, I kind of make sure that I focus on mindsets, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to point that out because of the fact that I think this is the mindset. But let me say this. I will give some merit to today's ability to waver mindsets when it comes down to how solid someone is and who they were going to be. Mm-hmm. Reason I say that, I know that I was born gay, right? And I know that a lot of people who grew up in the time frame that I grew up in understand that to be a fact as well. Why? Because we wouldn't have chosen, right?
Especially during the summer.
It was not the thing to do. It wasn't the safe thing to do. It wasn't the thing that was going to keep you okay with your family, friends, anything, right? So you were put in a situation where you were challenged to either be who you're going to be or fake it, right, type of thing, right? Which is not a situation that I don't think anyone would choose, right? But once times change, things become more digestible, things become more acceptable, things are actually no longer frowned upon.
Wait a minute now.
It opens up an avenue to where, I could try a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm. You really just shot my point down. Because my point was you can't make somebody But I'm coming from our generation where it wasn't the popular thing. But right now, well, you know, when young people are at that age when you are experiencing and you're trying to figure out who you are, I mean, it's like it's so expansive how far you could go because so much is accepted, and the way acceptance is taught in schools, where it's like it's okay, everything's okay. That maybe these things are introducing young people to certain things, and now, so what we're saying is not the introduction to a gay lifestyle or being transsexual, which are two different things that I really want folks to understand that's two different things, but also to sex early. You know what I mean? So there are some points for people who would really hate for their kids to turn out to be gay, bisexual, anything, to see it on TV and feel like, oh my God, now they're introduced to this. Now they're seeing it, somebody's enjoying it, now it can be an option for them. that can actually be a real fear, because our young people are experimenting with so much.
I'm just paying attention to the way that everything is kind of, I don't want to say dumbed down, even though that is kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Everything is watered down to a place where, like even in conversation, people always like to say, I'm only human, as if it's the minimal, right? And so when this is the way that we're thinking and the way that we're responding to life, it's like we're the bare minimum of. We don't have a high standard for what we will and will not do. Our principles are not intact. And then you think about children who haven't figured out what their belief systems are yet.
Right.
So now when you do deal with media who is kind of giving you, pretty much feeding you what the in things to do are, the
right.
in factor,
Right.
what is fun, what looks good,
Right.
what is on the table.
Right.
In today's scenario, because like we said, it's no longer frowned upon,
Right.
in the ways that it was.
Right.
Still frowned upon in different spaces.
Right.
But in the ways that it was, it does lend opportunity to just trying things.
Yep. And it makes me think about, like, that goes back to us being our best selves, because what you said was, it's not just about, it's not just an agenda, a black gay agenda. It's about perversion and all that kind of stuff. So it's very important that us as parents, is like, we got to really educate ourselves these days and really know what's going on and really pay attention to the underlying shit that's really happening, because it's so much more that we're up against. You know what I mean?
Also knowing our children, right?
Yeah,
to the
right.
point that we are not telling them who they should be,
Right.
but it reminding them who they are,
Right,
right?
who they are.
As you're watching a child grow,
Right.
You know, you like, I don't believe, in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that my mother didn't know. She may not have been okay with it. She may not have accepted it. She may
Right.
not have wanted it.
Right.
But she knew.
Right.
Right. Because the
My
way that
his brother knew, so I don't know how my mother didn't know, but he knew. Yeah.
we know. I watched my children. I knew who they were before they became completely who they were. You know.
Yeah, because the parents know everything else for the rest of your life. You ain't know that. That's the one thing you ain't know.
Yeah. You
Right.
gotta stop turning a blind eye, because the better you know your children, the more that you're able to
support
help
them.
align them into who they actually are.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're dictating their choices, right? Because their choices are necessary to learn and move forward in their process. But it does mean that you're able to challenge certain things, right? Challenge. All of a sudden it's this, but your patterns up into this stage have not. This doesn't make sense.
This is right.
So now there's dialogue that can happen to
Right.
where it's like, why does this make sense to you now?
Right.
If all it is, you were stern here,
Right.
for all of this time, why all of a sudden is this
Right.
possibility for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And I've had to have that conversation with young people in my family, where all of a sudden they feel like, oh, I think I'm bisexual. I think I'm like, yeah, all right. But you don't make a big deal out of certain things. I think sometimes that helps it. And then I come back, yeah, I think it was just a little thing I was going through. It's, you know what I mean? Anyway, so but the point I was making earlier, parents really have to educate ourselves so we can really understand what's going on in the media, or just really pay more attention and be able to have certain conversations, so when unexpected things do come up, we can actually have a conversation where we're not damning people, or feeling like we're just putting like unrealistic pressures on them, or showing a certain type of hatred, because that doesn't
It doesn't solve anything.
and then it doesn't make your kids not want to do something. If anything, it makes it more intriguing, because you hate it so much, because you're trying to push it away so much.
Yeah, you push the rebellion in them, and
You're right.
It just makes you go in the opposite direction.
Right.
than you want them to.
Yeah.
So I'm not in the front line saying be gay, right? I'm not in the front line saying be straight. You know what I mean? I think that if you are being your authentic self, that's exactly who you want to be. Period. In the process, you figuring out the parts of you that need sharpening, that comes with the time and the process.
That's right. And getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
And getting to know yourself. But I do have one. I mean, this is a little off talk, but I just want to say it. I do have a little issue, but then I can't say that because everybody's path is different. When people make gay their whole life and everything that they're about, that's a whole other topic. Maybe we could talk about that another time.
I kind of want to touch that.
You know,
I kind of want to touch that
because it's like, yo,
I kind of want to touch that. I kind of want to touch that.
And, okay, so wait, before you touch it. So actually, before you touch, actually, you know what? I think that goes along with this also, because all right, one thing about television and gay television is you see one type of people. You see only feminine men. Well, mostly. I don't know about any.
I think because they're, script writing, right? So
Right.
in order for you to get the point across that you're trying to make, there's extremes.
Right.
Right. And because although there are gay men
Right.
who aren't flamboyant at all,
Right.
who can mesh well in the straight community and nobody would know, they're not going to be able to portray the story the same way because they're not outwardly.
Right.
You can't tell. So to take it back to what you were saying, I just think that it's a matter of not being creative in how they want to tell the story when it comes down to it.
One point I want to make up, and you made me think about it when you were just sharing. What's the show with the pink, the strip of the pink?
P-Valley.
P-Valley. So the gay rapper guy, right? He's he comes across as straight. He's lived straight. Everybody knows him.
For the most part,
For the most part, and then he met Uncle
Clifford.
Yeah, Uncle Clifford. That's a whole other story, and that's real life. You know what I'm saying? But that show is really not appropriate for young people. But I know I've heard young people say that's their favorite show. But that goes back to home, and that goes back to all of those kind of stuff and censorship and pain and settings what your kids are watching. But what I did appreciate from back in the day when we did see gays on television, and I think I forgot about that until I was looking things up, is that even though this could be annoying, when we did see gays on television, they were kind of like making a statement or kind of educating folks on what it was like, yeah, because I go through this, and it was this kind of thing. Now, I don't really see that, especially when we see like transgender people and all that kind of stuff on television. I think
They're just trying to sexualize.
they sexualize it, but there's no education behind that, or talking about, or in the shot, that relationship between a dude that became a politician and the transgender woman that he got. Can we have a conversation about something? Can somebody say something about? Because now is a bunch of them at dinner. There's a lot, and even for me as a gay woman, I want y'all to say something about this, because like y'all got Thanksgiving, it's like 7 transgenders at the table, and then you got the other straight guys walking in and they just seeming cool with it. Like, that's not really real life though. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I will say, watching that, they gave friction, and then they gave that level of, I don't understand this, I ain't with this.
Yeah. Even the little brother's accepting, and I'm like,
well, the little brother is from a different time frame. So
from this age. Oh, it's different. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very different.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
It's okay to be pretty much anything to this generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing in some level.
Yeah.
And then at another level, it's things.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Because the young people have extremes, and they don't, and it's hard to figure out who you are when you got so many goddamn choices to be.
When you didn't get the opportunity to actually figure yourself out before ingesting it, is the thing.
Right.
Yep. So back when you were younger, there were certain things that couldn't be said or done on television and radio until after a certain time.
Yep. Exactly. Stuff like that.
Had time frames.
Yes.
Bed.
Yes.
So knew after the kids is in bed, we can go and watch these adult things.
Yeah.
We can go listen to the adult thing.
Right.
Now there is absolutely no restrictions, and everything's at your hand now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In your phone.
Yep.
So there's no limitation to what they can get access to.
Question. So how do you feel about gay characters in cartoons and books?
Ooh. That's a hard one, right? We exist. So do I think that our presence should be felt in everything? Yes. Do I think that it's a necessity to make sure that our sexuality is the conversation? Absolutely not. Do I think that our sexuality should be a part of the activity? Absolutely not. Do I think that it should be this calling to pride in everything that has us in it? Absolutely not. If you're going to say that these are people who exist and we are regular people just like anyone else, then stop making us outside of regular people.
Okay, there you go. Boom. That's a good point. I was wondering how you were going to answer that. That's an excellent point. Where it's like just it has to be fully integrated where we're not the other.
Yeah.
Where we're not the other, because when you make it the other, then it's a whole big thing. And then also the same way how
that's when it starts feeling like it's an agenda.
That's when it starts feeling like an agenda, because we're already othered. And then when we are brought in, it's only one facet of us. And what, like you said, is the sex, because that's the only thing people are thinking about. Is like, oh, you sleep with this person. And the conversations I've had with my nieces and nephews is that, relationships and families are different. There's so many different types of relationships and families. You have man and woman. You have woman and woman. You have man and man. Like, for real, like, it's different types of relationships. And that's it. And I just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's nothing else to really talk about.
There's no reason to bring, like, the bedroom into the conversation. No. Remember when we were doing Straight Talk? You said you didn't remember a lot, but when the guy who had interest in the project wanted to pitch it, his only edit was to take the second conversation out. And I asked him, I said, we didn't get graphic. What bothered you about that conversation? And he was like, how do we say, stay out of our bedroom and then bring them into our bedroom? And I thought that was the most solid thing to say. Yeah. And so looking forward now and watching television, when I see, I'm like, I understand that the supposedly the point is to normalize. Yeah. If it's there to normalize, then the bedroom is not necessary. We walk down the street like everybody else. We go to the store like everybody else. We have relationships like everybody else. Right. We have children like everybody else. We are just moving around the world like everyone else. Right. There's no need to make it sexual, and there's no need to wear rainbows everywhere and throw off this.
Right, exactly. And we can get into that conversation. But how you feel about transgender, though?
That's a really, really, really touchy conversation. Yeah. And
on television.
I don't want to go too deep into it because I'm not as well versed as I would like to be to have the conversation. What I will say is I think that everyone on Earth should have rights. I think that everyone on Earth should be free and have equal rights and ability to have space. What I do not agree with, and I will never agree with, is any group of people deciding that the entire world should conform to them. That's all I can say about that.
Okay. We can pick that up on another time. Let's pick it up on another time. I don't have a lot to share about it. I was interested in your thoughts. I'm glad it's not a question you asked me. For the simple fact that I do have to do more research about it. I think I could use some training around it and understanding of it.
Same.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's something new for me in my world and our world. For some people, it's not, and it's also not a group where I have friends that are, and I would say all of that to really understand it. So I'm just curious,
I have a problem, and I'm gonna say this outward, right? I have a problem with all of these so-called movements. All of the movements were supposedly created to level the playing field. Right? As time passes, I'm starting to see that instead of leveling the playing field, what is happening is people are fighting to be the one to have the privilege. And all that does is say that you want to be the oppressor that you say don't agree with, and I'm not cool with.
And you know what? So I'll just put this out there also, that I also feel that when something is new to a society, you have to know that there's going to be a lot of backlash, pressures, and different things that you're going to deal with. And I think that when the transgender movement started, being more widespread, and it was a thing like, when people told it, it's like, yeah, you are definitely. But you gotta know it's going to be some pushback. You gotta know it's going to be some issues with this. You gotta know it's going to be a real fight. and not be unrealistic about that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if folks have been unrealistic because I said, I'm not part of it.
Very unrealistic.
So, you know what I mean? So that's one of my main issues with it. Is like, this is going to be a fight. The same way how gay rights was a fight. It took how long to get to be gay marriage to be legal. The same way women had no right to vote. Black people, it's so many different movements and things, levels. So it's like you're going to have to make your bones too. And that's just a fact of the world we live in.
I just really want to get people to really ask yourself, what is your true point to your fight? Because if it is equality, that looks very differently than what we're seeing right now.
I got a lot of opinions.
I have a lot of opinions too, and I'm cool with having them.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I'm not going to allow us having a platform to do, is take away the fact that we have voices, we have opinions, we have the right to speak. I will say what's on my mind. I will be mindful, of course, because I'm respectful to all. However, I have the right to have thoughts and words. And if at any point I say the wrong words and get an understanding that is different, that changes my mind, I absolutely have no problem with stating that, I learned something new,
right,
and I've changed my opinion.
That's a super fact. So I'm gonna say what I need to say real quick.
Yeah.
Trans sports. And I feel like that maybe there needs to be a trans league.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Because to put biological males in the same on the same fields of biological women is unfair.
Scientifically, chromosomes make the difference.
Yeah, they make the difference.
Right? So when you understand that these things are not made equal.
Right.
We are both at the same level of value.
There we go.
But we are not made equal. Our value is not to be debated.
Right.
But equality means that we have all the same things in a tank. And that's just not what it is. Right. So when
we have different abilities,
exactly,
levels of abilities,
and the values of those things balance the entire world out.
There we go. Amen.
Right?
Amen.
So when you're able to get people to move along and go along with that program and say there is no difference between this and this, that's where that comes in.
Right.
Where you can put a man in the ring with a woman and feel nothing about it.
Yeah.
Because these are the same thing. No,
it's not.
In the larger spread, most men are stronger than
most women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
then you have the exceptions.
You have the exceptions to the rule, just like anything. Right? So I do agree. I think that transgender should have their own sports.
Yeah.
I believe they should have their own restaurant. I believe all of this because I don't think that they should be without anything. As I said in the beginning, I think that we all should have the liberties that the next person has.
Is it the same as the civil rights movement when we felt like prior to it was segregation? Do you feel like that's basically what we're expressing?
That's a really, really, really touchy conversation.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to go too deep into that because I don't want to sound ignorant in an area where I am ignorant at.
Yeah.
Bring the conversation back to, the gay agenda. Now that we've had all these layers that we peeled back, do you have any different views from when you came to the conversation?
One thing that changed for me, for one, I really appreciated your opinion about gay characters in books and in cartoon. But one thing I want to make sure is that I'm not picking up any remnants or anything of self-hate or bias against myself and other people based on the ways of the world. You know what I mean?
I like that you said that.
Yeah.
That's very transparent.
Yeah.
Form of the statement.
Yeah, it's very important to pay attention to those kind of things because still we live in a society where we are not popular, where we are not loved by everyone and accepted by everywhere we go. Even when I go on vacation, I have to be gay friendly for certain islands. I mean, travel different. You know what I mean? So I really appreciated what you had to say about that. And then also your opinion, which surprised me, which was really good, about it's not about gays on television, it's about perversion and over sexualizing our content, and also not having, like you said, adult hours. Now everything is mixed. You never know what's going to pop up on television, and that's the issue. The desensitizing, that's what the issue is. Where people can have more control of their households and what they choose for their kids to see and not see and all that, which everyone should have a right. Because even though I said, but I was hearing myself was, gotta normalize it. No, you don't really. You really don't. If that's not what you want to allow in your house, or whatever like that, and you could do without homosexuality or something you would rather keep away, or you hate, everybody has the right to do whatever. As long as you're not a person.
I'm happy that I was able to give some level of a different thought process. I love the questions that you brought to me, because although I couldn't answer them all, it gave me something really to think about, and something to look at in regard to what makes me uncomfortable,
Right.
And why.
Right. Because one thing about it, one thing that's true and for certain, is that so many of us, like, we could be gay, but you don't want your kids to be gay. And
I
that's
never had an issue with it.
no. Okay.
I don't. But you know what?
I had an issue
You know
with
what?
my godson when he came out gay.
That's what I was about to say. I never thought about it, right? Because my thing has always been be yourself.
Yeah.
So I've always had an issue if I see my children acting outside of who I knew them to be. It's like, that's not even who you are.
Right.
That's an issue for me. But the gay thing has never been an issue. But I also only have a daughter.
My niece, when she was in a gay relationship, I didn't have a big issue, but I just talked to her about, safety and different stuff and self-respect and, all that kind of stuff. But basically being bisexual and what that means and self-respect and all of that. And then when my godson came out, I was like, yo, speak up, yo, talk to her. Like, I'm trying to make him but tough to do, and I couldn't take it. I remember.
So was it being gay, or was it being
feminine? It was being feminine. And that's a good question. It wasn't about his sexuality. It was about his mannerisms and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of times that's where the thing with sexuality and men come from, is because femininity is not respected. You know what I mean? It's like it's a man's world and this and that. And I think that's why so many times, I know we get a lot of respect from men, but a lot of women that's like us that don't. I don't know if we carry ourselves and all that, but one thing that's for sure is that masculinity is respect. I think that's part of it.
I never lend that to the fact that, I appear more masculine. I think it's the way that I carry myself with work.
Period, yeah.
And I don't run around with the gay, like, I'm not just
yeah, like, this is what
like,
I am
I come in every
people.
room and I know who I am.
Right. And maybe that's what's
buzzed. Who I am is not just the gay woman, not just the black woman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not just
things.
one thing. I just come in and I'm me.
And everything is solid.
I believe that that's where, the respect comes from.
Yeah.
I've never thought that it was because of masculine appeal.
But you know what? But even though the femininity was an issue with me with my godson, when my nephew came out gay, I was able to have so much more understanding and actually talk to him and have conversations that I know that maybe his dad is not comfortable having. Even though he's showing him mad love, are you gonna go get that deep about it? You know what I mean? So I think just having knowledge and understanding that we really are all human, we have to educate ourselves, and then you're able to have different kind of conversations and understanding.
First off, I commend you for saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Because everybody got a mouthpiece. Everybody gonna have something to say, but the reality is a lot of people have these struggles, the N-word, and don't want to say an out-word. And I'm ecstatic to be able to be on a platform and give people the power to stand firm in their beliefs until something challenges it and changes their mind.
Period.
I think that is what everybody needs to be, and that's how you become who you are.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's how you become the greatest person.
That's right. It's called being informed. It's called being informed. You know better, you do better.
So how are we closing this out? How are we closing out this episode? Because the episode it started at the gay agenda in the black community, from media, and it took a turn and just went into all of these different pockets of agendas by way of sexuality. How do we close this out?
I would close it out like this. Everything is usually not what it seems to be, especially when it comes to media and these large conglomerates. It's always an underlying thing, and the thing is, everything has a purpose. So, and if you notice, like you said, we started off with the gay agenda, but it's not just a gay agenda. It's an agenda of perversion, desensitizing our young people and making them raggedy.
I say question all things until you come to some level of understanding. But when I say all things, I'm including self. Question why you're feeling the things you're feeling. Question why you're questioning some of the things you question.
But one thing is just protect your kids and make sure they're not just following every way.
Absolutely. That's it right there. I feel like that's the point right there.
And I want to say one more thing about that. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's really about like who you are. Like my heart kept saying, it's really about who you are to the core, how you carry yourself, and how you treat other people. You know what I mean? I really don't think it's about the bedroom thing and all of that kind of stuff. You know, even when it comes down to transgender and all that kind of stuff, it's about how do you carry yourself, how do you treat other people, and what type of person are you to your core. And that's really, really what I rock with.
Yeah. Be a decent human being, period. I think that was a great conversation.
Yeah, I think so too. Talk about some stuff that might get canceled on our first season, you know.
You can't cancel me.
You can't cancel me, right? We created it. We brought you in this world. You can't take us out.
Thanks. I don't get overly excited when people compliment me. So it doesn't allow me to get overly down when people talk crazy or down on me, right?
When I work out and I get compliments, I start looking down. I'm making work. You know what I'm saying? I get excited.
I'm on whatever level that I put myself on. That's that, and you can't do nothing about that.
That's a fact. That's definitely the point I'm about. Like I've been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
You can't just do whatever it's about where I am.
Yeah.
That's
So
that. Yeah.
cancel yourself.
Cancel yourself.
I'm Mahogany.
I'm East.
And this is Culture Currency.
The culture
Balance.
is real. Yeah.